Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jassogne, your host. Thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today. We're telecasting, broadcasting downtown in the lobby of Fairfield Federal, and as we do, it's a little overcast day, beautiful day actually, comfortable out, humidity's not bad. We're into kind of a good spell here in Lancaster and Fairfield County, but again, as I've mentioned so often, for the past 5.5 months, every interview, every person I talk to, it's all about COVID. Somehow, no matter what the subject is, COVID enters into it. And on our first segment today, it is certainly a real player in how things are going in his world. My guest is Superintendent Steve Wigton of the Lancaster City Schools. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Pleasure to be here.
And I think always when we talk, I think we went through all the schools being rebuilt.
Right.
We've gone through the schools reopening now, and here we are in a time unlike any other.
Unprecedented.
And when you signed on for this, what, has it been 10 years?
This will be my ninth
year. Seems like 10 probably.
This one counts double.
Steve is the superintendent, as I indicated, of the Lancaster City Schools, and my goodness, for the past 5.5 months, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah, it has been, but fortunately, I got great people to work with, and we've been working through the scenarios starting back in May about what the school year might be, and with all the information coming from the health departments and the CDC and everything. But fortunately, I'm surrounded by a great group of people. So
I had Scott Burry on, principal at Lancaster High School, just 2 or 3 weeks ago. We're talking about how this all hits his school, and of course we'll talk about the big picture here. But my golly, as a principal or a teacher, it's just, as you are the big picture guy, for these people, they're doing, they're in a world they've never seen.
Exactly, and they're the ones that have to deliver.
Yeah.
And every procedure, everything is re-examined and laid out in the safest possible way. So it's quite an undertaking.
I'm going to have Larry Hanna on. He's the head of the Fairfield County Health Department. He'll be on next week.
We'll show him some love.
Well, that's it, because here's a guy that just likes to be in the background, and he has interviewed more, talked more in the past 5.5 months than I know he ever wanted to be. So when we look at the schools, I was looking at one of the TV stations had a thing where you could click on your schools. I was looking at the Fairfield County schools, and it looks like there are maybe three options. Maybe it looks like everybody's all in, everybody is online, or a blended possibility of the both. Now, as I understand, that third one is the Lancaster City Schools.
That's
option.
what we're doing. Yes, we're.
As of today.
As of today. Thank you. That's right. As of today, students will report on September 1st.
September 1.
Yeah. And if their last names are A through K, they will come on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
And the L through Z students come on Wednesday and Friday. Now, Monday is everybody's at home. It's a complete virtual day, so everybody will be instructed online. And on the days when students are not in school, they will have assignments to do at home. There is some. Particularly in the elementaries, there'll be some support from teachers in there, but that's the model that we're starting with. Now that is unless students choose to do a full online option, which we offered out this year. So
there really is a fourth option.
There is a fourth option, right. Yeah, it's fully online.
And that is the parents' decision?
Parents' decision, And we have about close to 30% of our students have chosen that full online option.
Can they change that as they move along in this system?
We told them that they needed to stay in that for a semester.
Yes.
They need to commit for a semester.
Not every week. We can't be moving around.
We could pull some in and out based on space availability, but we asked for a commitment for at least a semester.
So actually, on any given day, not counting Monday, but Tuesday through Friday, on any given day, half the amount of kids will be in any school. This is every school, grade school, junior highs.
Right.
High school.
Except for preschool. Preschool,
Okay.
because they have smaller numbers
They're able.
anyway to begin
Yeah.
with. They're able to do every day.
So the schools then, if you would walk into one of the schools, maybe not now, but with September 1 coming,
Right.
you would see what? All the desks separated?
You would see
the
every
gymnasium
desk
being
facing the
used? and-
old-fashioned ways.
Yeah.
Oh, desks
Yeah.
are all facing the front of one direction, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
And in our junior highs and in our elementaries, the desks are in a tandem,
Okay, oh yeah.
and then the next tandem is 6 feet apart.
Yes.
The tandem 6 feet
Yes.
apart, so that students in one period will sit on the right side.
Okay.
The next period they sit on the left. We clean the desktops
Yeah.
between each period. So all of those safety procedures that everybody's doing, we'll be doing in the
I think
school.
about back in junior high and high school when I'd be walking in the hallways here at Lancaster, and you'd see a maintenance man just walking around kind of pushing a broom up and down the hallway. They got a whole new list of
They
things to
certainly
do
do.
now.
That's right. And
And important stuff.
Yeah, we've had to add custodial staff
Yes.
because we have to do frequent cleaning of the high-touch areas.
Sure.
And so yeah, they're front and center, and they're more important now than ever.
So as we look at this pandemic and how it's affecting physically the schools, everybody's wearing a mask all
Yes.
the time?
Yeah.
Except
Well,
when you're
unless-
eating, maybe.
Right, except when you're eating. And of course, there are the medical exemptions for people to not.
Oh,
wear
that's right.
masks, So
Yeah.
you've got that. Outside, as long as they can be more than six feet away or more, they're able to be without a mask.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But other than that, yeah, everybody's got a mask on.
In cafeteria, I'm sure that's a whole nother animal too,
It
with
is.
food and
That
touching
gives
and everybody getting
social
their food.
distancing again, and the meals are going to be sack lunches. So it's
Oh.
yeah.
So if you eat at the school, you get a sack lunch. That goes
Correct.
without saying.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a different
yeah,
time.
it is
It's a different
very
time.
much so.
Now, as I was saying, I was looking at online about the county schools and
Mm-hmm.
about the public schools in the county, and we were talking about the Fairfield unions, the Liberty unions, the Byrne unions, all the ones around here and in the entire county. Everybody's kind of on their own plan. Everybody in your position and their school board makes their call.
That is correct. You
Yeah.
know, we have a couple of districts in the county that are fully online. I think we have one that is fully in, and then the rest of us are doing this blending.
Well, I think what a good idea it is to allow the superintendent, the school board, to make their decision, because certainly a Pickerington would be far different from a Sugar Grove.
Correct, that's
There's
correct.
no reason to say
Right.
everybody has
Right.
to do this.
Right, and it depends on what's happening in your community
Yeah.
as far as the COVID spread. And
You know, things are a little up right now in here in Fairfield County, although
Yeah.
I think most of that probably is more toward Pickerington. I haven't seen the numbers.
Yeah.
More than it is, say, down here.
Yeah.
But I guess even as you make this plan and we talk about it today, and it can turn on a dime.
it certainly can, just like it did last spring.
Sure.
You know, when the governor made an announcement one day, and 2 days later we're
When you,
Completely
I
out.
think around March 3rd was when I could remember the NBA right in the middle of the game
Yeah,
said, we're
right.
done here, we're
Right.
stopping. So now, fast forward 5.5 months, when you think back on that time, do you think at this point, as you begin in September, you're much better prepared
without
to
question.
look at this
Without-
rather than
definitely.
seat of your pants in March,
Definitely.
April?
Yeah, yes, definitely. We
Yeah.
are much better prepared.
You've got a little history here to look at.
Oh yeah, I knew we've had to move. We moved all of our curriculum as much as we can online, and now
Mm-hmm.
our secondaries were already there. Elementary, not so much so,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a lot of work done this summer to move all of our elementary curriculum online. Students will be able to take Chromebooks home in the elementary. That's something that
Well,
we didn't have.
that was going to be
before.
one of my questions. I know, for example, for years, that DeRolf decision, we think about Perry County, things down there, has access to online been any kind of an issue with Lancaster kids?
It is for people that don't have internet.
Yeah.
Now we do have hotspots, and we do give those out. Hotspots are somewhat limited, though, how many gigs you can get.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And fortunately, I don't think we have areas in the city, at least with our district, where internet is not available.
Sure.
The out in your counties, they may have more
May have
problems
more of an
with that,
issue,
but
or
internet
rural.
connectivity is an issue for our
And that's something you've had to work
underprivileged
through. And,
students. Right.
So it's a challenge everywhere you look. There's a question mark.
It is.
Probably.
Yeah, that's right. It's a question mark, and those are all added expenses too.
So we look now at extracurricular activities, and I think as we're going today, the governor's going to talk, and I think the expectation is that kids may play football. Let's just talk football because that's the immediate one, but no fans. As of now, is that kind of what you're looking at? Or you don't know?
Well, that's what
Pam
we'll
Bosser,
know. We're going to know.
Pulling her hair out too.
We have plans either way.
Sure.
I mean, we've gone out and done some preliminary, in case we can have fans, how to socially distance them, and
a lot of scenarios.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if we're allowed to have fans. I am optimistic that we're going to be able to play all sports in the fall. Of course, golf and tennis are already up and running.
They're going. I know that.
So we hope to be able to have soccer and football, and I think cross country's rolling and volleyball's rolling. So
Normally, I have Ben Factor, the band director, on in September because they have that big band show.
Yep.
Well, at that point, that had been pushed back to October, and the OMEA, the music education people, as of now, it was still on. But again, that's like everything else in your world and everybody's world. We'll wait until the governor says something or until somebody makes a call.
Right. That's still up in the air right now.
So, as you look back at your teachers, I think you're probably pretty proud of the job, of the adaptability of the not only teachers, but your entire staff of people.
Definitely.
Because it has been a work in progress.
It certainly has, and this is like everybody's first year, all over again. And in your first year, but in your first year, that's where you grow the most because you have that mindset. And you don't know everything, and you've got to learn on the job, and that's the way we're approaching this year. With that same growth mindset, just like you do in your first year. So,
have you had any issues with teachers perhaps being a little nervous about coming back? Has it been the younger teachers, older teachers? Is there any?
Probably more the older, but I can't put. Really, but it depends on their situations. They've got some of them are taking care of elderly parents. Some of them have newborns, so it just depends. But it's out there.
Well, like we say, I think the big dogs in this appear to be the governor and the health department. I mean, those are the people that make really decisions that affect tens of hundreds of thousands of people, certainly here in this county. And we see the Columbus City Schools a while back made a decision, no extracurriculars. They made that on their own, so we'll see how the governor decides on this. But it's a work in progress, Steve.
It definitely is. Yes, it is.
If we had you on next week, it might be a whole different conversation.
That's right.
We'll get you on here.
Sure.
Sherman's going to open up. Just quickly, we'll wrap it up. Sherman's going to open up on time. Everything.
Yes,
that's
sir.
amazing through all this that you kept on task.
Well, we've got a great construction
says a lot.
team.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad to see Sherman going again.
I know. That's
go
your
Sherman.
School.
Go
that's
Sherman.
Your school. We got the picture up.
That's good. Steve Wigton, the superintendent of the Lancaster City Schools, and we appreciate him being on with us and kind of giving us an update here. We'll have him back as the school year moves on. As we just indicated, next week could be something completely different. So, Steve, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll be back on Fairfield Today.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area, where the fountain is, and the memorials, and the flags, and all the stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Did you know that 2/3 of teens and young adults who report abuse of prescription medicines are getting it from people they know, including friends and family? We need to remember to secure them in a safe place, even lock them up if necessary. Monitor your medications so you know exactly how many pills are in each bottle. And finally, keep track of your refills. If you are done with their use, properly dispose them to avoid abuse. You can do this in a number of ways. 1. Take them to a local drop box at the Lancaster or Pickerington Police Departments or at one of our drug take-back events. 2. Take the drugs out of their containers, mix them with cat litter or used coffee grounds in a container, seal and place them in the trash. Remember to remove all personal information from your pill bottles. Or 3. Check the prescription information regarding the specifics if the medication could be flushed, or call your pharmacist. Remember, if you are done with its use, properly dispose to avoid abuse.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Thank Steve Wigton for coming on, giving us an update on where we are at the Lancaster City Schools. Always probably right now as we head into the fall of the year, kind of the hottest topic right now is the schools and how are they going to do it. So we appreciate Steve being here with us. And again, thanks to the good folks here, as you saw in our commercial break there, celebrating their sesquicentennial, 125 years. Fairfield Federal, again, they've had to scale back a great deal of things because of everything going on here. So we appreciate them very much allowing us to come in. Pleasure to have with us as we talk about people that are greatly affected by the COVID, which is every guest we've had on for a couple of months now. I think the mayor was our very first guest we had when we started doing these. Mayor Dave Scheffler, and I don't know when that was. I think March 3rd was about the day we stopped, so maybe it was in May sometime. I don't know when it was.
It's been a while.
But you and Steve Wigton, who are Steve was just on, you're here now. Just a quick overview. We'll talk about specifics, but it's been, 5 months and 2 weeks now. We've gone through this. Nobody ever thought it'd go this long, and now we know we're not nearly to the end or maybe even to the midpoint of this. Your thoughts on everything that's gone on from the mayor's aspect?
Wow, it's been a ride, certainly. We thought we were on the way to recovery, and then we get a surge, but looking at the numbers, I see they're trending down again now. In fact, I just took a peek at the numbers that were released today before I headed over here, and I think we had less than 10 new cases between yesterday and today in Fairfield County.
All of Fairfield County?
All Fairfield County. So we're still red, and unfortunately, we only meet 2 of the 7 criteria for being considered red, and you have to have 4 to 5, but once you hit red, criteria number 1 has to be below 100 for 2 weeks before they'll put you back to orange. So We went from 150 to 120 to 114, and it looks like we're still going to be in the red category for a couple more weeks at least.
Once you get there, a little harder to get out.
It's hard to get out.
Yeah.
Right.
And could we assume then that, and again, I haven't looked at where the numbers, can we assume more percentage-wise have been maybe to the northern part of the county than perhaps, say, Sugar Grove?
Yes, that would be a good statement. The Pickerington, Reynoldsburg area have the highest rate per 100,000 of population.
So close to Columbus.
Yeah,
I mean.
we're a little above the middle, but generally the rural areas are lower. I think Bloom Township is higher, Canal Winchester's higher, but yeah, we're about in the middle.
Well, the COVID-19, of course, that consumes everything everybody talks about. There's not a meeting you have during the course of a day, I'm sure, that somehow that doesn't enter into it, good or bad, or Zoom meeting or whatever you're doing. You're probably Zoomed out, aren't you?
Well, I started out this morning with the Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock.
You've got more coming.
Yes, probably 4 or 5 a day would be a typical day to have a Zoom meeting.
You could Zoom out pretty quickly.
It does cut down on a lot of non-productive travel time.
Yeah. You may find that in the future. I think somehow, and I don't know that there's a good thing that can come out of this, but one of the things I think we'll see differently is maybe we see that people working at home or working in different settings, or maybe having meetings on a computer via Zoom with maybe even a couple people is a productive way.
It definitely is productive, and I think you'll see much more of that going forward than we have, say, a year ago or in the past. I think we will get back to in-person meetings for a lot of things, but Zoom is going to be a thing of the future. Zoom.
When we had you on before, pretty much the whole show was, although we talked a little bit about the levy, but it was pretty much all about the COVID. So we'll shift off out a little bit. Income tax levy coming up here, several months away, November. It's a big deal. It was a big deal then. It's getting to be a bigger deal now as we move into that time. 70 some days, I think we're away from that. Much needed in Lancaster.
Absolutely. It's been needed for many years and wasn't done. The state cut our revenue about $2 million 10 years ago, and all the other communities in Central Ohio raised their income tax rates for whatever reason. Lancaster didn't, and we've been living without, making do, stretching the dollar, laying people off for the last 10 years, and it's gotten to the point where it is hurting already, and it's going to hurt more in the future if we don't get some additional revenue. And speaking of relating it to the COVA, our revenue year to date is down over 16% because income tax collections are down, and a lot of things you don't think of. You mentioned traveling to meetings. Our gas tax revenue is way down. The legislature did a wonderful thing and raised the gas tax after many, many years, and we had hopes that would enable us to do even more streets than we have been doing, and now it's way off because people aren't traveling, they're not commuting to work, they're not commuting to school. But these things you don't think of, our investment income is way down because the investments rate fell. We all know what we get on our savings and checking accounts. Well, it affects city earnings also, and we do have investments that we're required to maintain, and we do have earnings, but they're way off. Things like building department, building application fees, court cost, fines, our revenue from squad runs for EMT runs is also way down because for a number of months people didn't want to go to the hospital if they were sick. They didn't call for a medic. So that revenue is down, which supported our safety forces. So over 16% down. In this year's budget, we reduced the authorized strength of police and fire by 3 from 70 to 67. And because of our revenue shortfalls, we've had retirements, and officers go to other cities which pay more. So we're down around in the low 60s instead of 67. So they're working harder, they're under more stress. They obviously, if they're not there, they can't respond as quickly as we may have been accustomed to in the past. So there's a lot of ramifications of that.
I've talking with the fire chief recently, Chief Ward, and his line to me was that if this wouldn't pass, we'd see staffing levels that perhaps we haven't seen since the 1970s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And population is way up, and the number of runs has doubled since the 70s. And it's not gonna be long till we're down to that level unless something happens.
So I guess the COVID-19 is really on top. Would you have needed this levy anyway if this virus hadn't hit and you
absolutely.
hadn't had all these? You would have had to come back at this point.
Absolutely.
For the money.
Yes.
But now that's just exacerbated this whole situation, made it much, much worse in areas that you wouldn't even have thought of before.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like building permit fees. We still have to do inspections. There are a lot of things, but if the building department, building permit fees pay for the building, for the engineers in the building department, the inspectors, and medic fees pay for firemen, and all these things that are ramifications of the virus make it even more difficult than we already had it with the budget shortfalls we were experiencing.
We'll probably come back to this levy because that's super important to talk about right now. But as I drive around town, boy, I see a lot of road repair going on. And maybe it's on roads that I drive on. Maybe that's why it seems more to me, because I drive on 6th, I drive on Fair, and I see a lot of that going on. But there seems to be a lot of that activity right now.
It is because it's roads you happen to drive on, because we do many miles of streets every year, and I think the ones that came to the top of the priority list this year are more main thoroughfares that get driven on. Broad Street, Columbus Street. Fair
right
Avenue.
out here behind us a few weeks ago, we saw all that.
Right. Fair Avenue is going to be done. They're doing the concrete curb and ADA ramp work right now, and the paving should start out there in the fairly near future, and that's from High Street to Sheridan.
Yes.
Will be done this year. From High Street to Memorial will be done next year. We're doing a lot of streets. We've also got some combined sewer overflow projects that seem like they're street repairs, but they're actually sewer repairs. 5th, 6th, and Forest Roads is one huge, about a $5 million project, and there's one on the west side of town, the Union Mulberry Street area. But we've always paved lots of streets. They typically have been in neighborhoods that some people probably never drive on. And we did some of those this year down in the Utica, or down in the 5th, 6th, south of Broad Street, and east of Broad Street and south of Memorial Drive. We did a lot of streets down there this year, and we always do streets in neighborhoods, and also try to get. In the past, we've done Pierce Avenue and Kanawha, were frequently traveled streets, and so it's there's a lot of blacktop around.
And as quickly as you think about downtown, in your take as mayor, I know you're not destination downtown anymore, but as your take on mayor, businesses surviving downtown?
They're surviving. I wouldn't say they're thriving.
Sure.
But they're surviving. Their biggest problem is getting employees to come back to work.
We've heard that.
And I think if you go to the restaurants, you see a lot of probably a lot more high school age kids than you didn't see before, because
supplemental.
They don't qualify for unemployment, so they are looking for jobs and will come to work. So.
Well, I guess the theme for this show would be let's vote for the levy. If people have questions, call your office.
Absolutely.
Online, go online, get information on it.
Call my office, watch my Facebook page for financial information about the city, but I'm always happy to talk to whoever wants to call and talk, or appear at groups and make presentations and answer questions.
Appreciate Mayor Dave Scheffler being with us today. David, thank you for a busy schedule. Zoom meetings before, Zoom meetings afterwards. I know you got a lot going on, so we hope this all gets done here, and we'll try to get you on before November, and we'll chat again as we move closer to this. But best of luck with Lancaster and how everything's going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Dave Scheffler with us. That's our show on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.